Top of the morning to you. I hope you're all fine and dandy and staying ahead of the game. Remember, it is a game, and each one of us must play our part. Thank you for joining me again today. An exciting video today, and we're looking at the canopy of the heavens, the arc of the heavens, which is the North Celestial Pole. And this is the South Celestial Pole. This is the Tree of Life. And this is the Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. And this portion of the sky is the ecliptic. But just under the ecliptic, we're going to look at one part in particular. And this is this beast here, Cetus the beast. Also known as the Crach or the Krach or the Kraken. Also known as the Leviathan. Also known as Jonah's whale. And this Crach moves down into the underworld and takes the souls down into the great river Eridanus, which is also one of these two here are the beasts, or two of the 11 beasts that Tiamat and Apsu created in the Babylonian Enuma Elish story. But if we look here, we can see the rabbit hole, which I have done many posts on. And going down the rabbit hole, you can see the souls and the furnucks, and you see the sculptor, and various instruments in there to do with measurements and measuring time and distance, and maritime instruments. We also have the peacock and other such things down there, which we see above 10 Downing Street and NBC News. We have the Indus, we have the pelican, the toucan, the grouse, the gross. These are all coded news stories that we have seen from the grouse terror attack, or attacks, people were murdered, to everything we see in our news. This is the underworld. But what I want to focus today is this fallen creatures from the fallen upper realms, and this is the Tree of Life. And you'll find the 7 perpetual lights of heaven: Hercules, Draco, Cygnus, the Swan, Lyra, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, and the North Celestial Pole, Polaris, at present, right in the centre. And this is the Tree of Life. And when the Bible talks about the beasts, these are the beasts, and man fell down from, as Paul talks about, the third heaven. I know a man in the third heaven. He was talking there about Hercules, whether he be, whatever. I can't remember what Paul talks about in the New Testament. He was caught up into the third heaven, and that's Hercules, 14 generations ago, 14 years, ages. And this is the story of the fall of man. But what I want to speak about today is this beast that fell, or one of the 11 beasts that fell, and take the souls of men down into the underworld through materialism and servitude to the false system and false god. This here, the fornax, is a certain part on your brain. It's called the fornax, and it allows us to burn off the dross. It's partly connected to the 144,000, and we receive information 1,440 minutes in a day. Most of it's misinformation, but the 144,000 is connected with the fornax in the brain, receiving through the amygdala what is true and what is not. What I want to look at today is astrological over the British Isles. And this here is Cetus the beast. Especially I want to look at as it is fallen from the North Celestial Pole. At this moment in time, our ancestors for the last few thousand years have mapped it as the Lothian and Borders area, but I know for a fact, because the recumbent stones are marking Cetus the beast's descent, I know that at one time it also began its, as everything was, in the North Celestial Pole before the fall. And the fall happened when Andromeda came down in the fall. And if we turn this round, you'll see Andromeda eventually comes round, and she's upside down when she comes round, and that's the fall of Eve into the South Celestial Pole. But it all happens, or it all occurs in the connection with the soul, the feet of man, the Pisces, and the heart and guts, because these beasts represent the guts, the gods, the parts of the body, I suppose, that are connected with the 7 deadly sins, what the Catholic Church calls the 7 deadly sins, and that's just your desires, your lower base desires. But we're going to look at Cetus the beast today, because I've been mapping the fall of Cetus the beast, or the fall of man, over the British Isles. And we're going to flip now over to Google Earth, and this is my mapping of the ley lines, alignments, and the houses, and the fall of the beasts. Thousands of alignments in the United Kingdom and the British Isles, and these are the biblical lands. I've done so much research, I know for a fact that these are. It's marked in the physical landscape, and we're going to look at MontRose. If you could pay attention to that word rose. Rose is a very important word, the Mount of Rose, and the word rose is to rise. The rose line, which runs here, this pink line, this is where the beast falls all the way down. This is what I'm marking. The beast falls down the rose line, so the rose line goes through the Roslyn Chapel area, and there's no surprise when we go. Cetus the beast is marked on that rose line there. So I am at present mapping the physical lands with the fall of the beasts, the 11 beasts of heaven. The body of Tiamat and Apsu, the great serpents, wind down the Orme River and the Eden River and other rivers. The Tyne, parts of the Tyne are these body of the Hydra, but there are 11 beasts in total. And with this recording, I'm looking at Cetus the beast, and we can see here this is the rose line, and Cetus the beast falls all the way down here. So I intend to mark the fall of Cetus the beast down into Hades, and Hades is marked by Ophiuchus, and Ophiuchus is, of course, where we're looking at down in Cardiff, is marked by Ophiuchus, and of course Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, the one who holds in the serpents. And what we're looking at here is the story of the Jason and the 12 Argonauts over the earth, battling these 13 beasts, and the story of Hercules, Jesus, the story of Jason. This is the story of the celestial events where these beasts and creatures actually fell down. And people think the rose line is a great thing, but it's not. It's where they rose from. Again, once they were put into the great abyss, they were, excommunicated. Once they were excommunicated and put into the watery deep under Cheddar Gorge, basically this whole area down here is where they were thrown. The whole Cheddar Gorge area, and all the way down there, they were thrown into the underworld, which is Tartarus. But we're going to look at MontRose, because I've been mapping from the North Celestial Pole the fall of Cetus the beast, and how it made an impact physically upon our Earth. And if we go to MontRose, if this thing works, we go to MontRose in the north of Scotland. I've already shown quite a bit up here of Cetus the beast, but let's go to the town of MontRose, and this is a beautiful town, don't get me wrong. Lots of these towns and villages are absolutely marvellous, but what we see here is, as we've seen in the North Celestial Pole, a continuation of the ones who rose up, and this is the Mount of the ones who rose up and made war with the angels in heaven. So, as previous overlays, you will see that every building, every part of even the modern structures and the modern developments are still taking the shape of whichever creature or whichever hero. It's not always creatures. Sometimes it's the hero that is the town or the city or the village, and other times it is these fallen beasts. So, you'll find the beasts and the heroes will be in front of them in the next town or the next place, judging them. And this, I've not looked at this here, but up here it's called the Bridge of Dun, and Dun is a bridge, the pontiff, Latin word, a bridge, the place of crossing over. And Teoch represents Tiamat and Apsu, the Tegate, They were called the Taygate. A union of these beasts were called the Taygate, and this is why Tayside, and this isn't quite Tayside, but Taoch, it's all the names. But this Bridge of Dun is likely where we'll find a hero, or St. Cyrus even. Further down here we'll find another hero, one of Jason and the Argonauts, Hercules, or Ophiuchus or somebody will be fighting these beasts. It's pretty amazing. This is where the story of the Bible came from. This is the story in the heavens and the story that is manifest upon the earth. So let's get into this area known as Arbroath, and let's look at the alignments and see if you can see what I see. So we have, I'll actually moved it again, sorry, so let me move it back to what it should be. Okay, and it's still not right, but we should see Inchbrayoch right there, and boom boom. You see that Inchbrayoch? See the farms there, the buildings. See the shape of the land. Ferry Den. See the star on the head. See Kirkconnell and all this. All fits perfect. And of course we have the claws reaching over, trying to make a bridge. The beast trying to reach over these, which were waterways, vast waterways. This was all a waterway at one point, but the beast clinging for its life, along with the Lyra constellation which fell, and the Fornax, which is part of the brain. This is the Fornax and the asterism. These are these instruments that are in the South Celestial Pole. This is the sculptor. And of course these implements, if we look at the North Celestial Pole, these asterisms and these implements can be found on land, but here it's quite different. We have Cetus the beast gripping onto the land, taking the actual shape of the land. That also should be moved out just a little, for the tail to touch on the bit that the tail is supposed to be. If you can see what that is there, the tail of the giant beast, and you can see that the land is still the shape of the beast. We have these farms up here, these buildings here. We have the museum. This is the museum here of aviation or something, and of course we have, this is a water creature, a creature that fell from the heavens. Let me just see what that is there, but yeah, if I remember right, it's the centre from MontRose, and you can see that this line, this is a ley line of mine, which is taken as, I can't remember exactly where now, it's taken over from Pisces to Stirling, to Peterhead. Yes, this is the line of the fall. This is the line of the fall of the beast, and I done a few posts earlier on showing the fall of the beast at Balmedy, just under the line. Here I've shown over at Huntly, I've shown in just south of Rhiney, just above Lumsden. So we have this is the drum of heaven here in the north, and where Ursa Major, the pole star, is, and we have this battle that happened in the heavens where Michael, as it says in the book of Revelation, fought these beasts. And here we have, back at MontRose again, back at MontRose itself, we can see, if I fade that down just a little again, we can see that the MontRose golf course is basically hiding the leg. Part of the head has become bog. The head is gone, but this is the beast system. And when I talk about being lost at sea, this is why many people are lost at sea, because they are actually built on these sea beasts. They are living on these sea creatures, which fell from the North Celestial Pole. Now that doesn't mean you have to get out of town quickly, sell up and go away, but I wouldn't hang about the towns and the cities, because it's these asterisms that are there. I'm not from this area, but I know from previous research that it's these asterisms that are there on the land. is usually where they put the 5G towers and the power lines and other such things, which of course are all transmitting energies. And this is why people are feeling so bad with the 5G electricity, because it's not just 5G, it's the spiritual energy from these beasts. I don't know if you're aware, but the first Marconi, the first radio broadcast, was from the Needles on the Isle of Wight. The Needles. Think of COVID, the needle. And apparently on the day that he broadcast from the Isle of Wight, Queen Victoria died while living on the Isle of Wight. So I believe that these entities travel through the 5G systems, and that's why many people are feeling ill. And yet again, we're also feeling ill because I believe judgment is coming upon these things that fell, and the lands that make up the physical body have not only absorbed their energies in a way, but they're still being manipulated by those who control us, using their energies. It really is as above, so below. And I would advise everybody to get out of the cities. I was making posts a few years ago saying people get out of the cities, and yeah, I still do. I wouldn't live in the city even if you paid me. I'd rather live in a rural community. But yeah, this is that was where was we again? That was the Mount of the Rose, and the word rose is very important because it's the first words of the Bible. Bereshit bara, Ros. It means the head. With the head created he, the Elohim. So I hope this makes sense. It won't unless you watch the rest of the videos showing the fall from the North Celestial Pole. I have jumped from this sort of area down to MontRose because I was actually speaking to someone today and they were talking about MontRose, and I said, oh, I know that ley line that goes from Peterhead through the house of Cetus, the head of Peter, all the way through. And by the way, I just found, and this is what I was saying to the friend, by the way, I just found Balmedy, and he was like, well, that makes sense if you look at, and so I did. I looked at MontRose, and yeah, here we have it. So I've skipped a bit, but I will fill in the gaps here showing where Cetus the Beast is, and we'll move on from Cetus the Beast to the Hydra. We'll move on from the Hydra to looking at the Great Draco. I'm just looking there, that looks very much like a face there, doesn't it? See that there? The ears, and there's a head there as well, and another head there. Isn't that very strange? Yeah? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe this is these creatures fused into the earth. The giants. Yeah, Ben Macduff on the Cairngorm Mountains. That looks like a creature of some sort, doesn't it? And so does that. And I wouldn't be surprised, because what I'm finding elsewhere is that the angels of heaven, those who are the celestial bodies above us, a certain number of them fell from Lyra, Vega, Cygnus, Draco, Cetus, Cassiopeia, Andromeda, and they all fell through the Pleiades, creating this lower realm and an underworld, and everything is reflected as above, so below. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this, full of information. Much love. Keep looking up, keep shining, and stay sovereign.